hello there. Not much to report that hasn't already been reported by somebody else. You know what I mean? We've got Labour in power now, so every wonk idea for a policy to be seen to be doing something positive is going to be embraced. They'll never face up to the real problems in this country because they're impossible to solve. They've known they've been impossible to solve. This was all part of Tony Blair's revolution. If we really wanted to address inequality in this country, you know, we'd have to tear the whole thing down and start again. So what we do is we ignore it and be seen to be doing things. It's always been the way. They have to choose a group who they can champion and say, look, equality. So it's minorities. Make yourself a minority. And suddenly the government are going to be helpful towards you. They're going to try and do their best for you to give you a leg up. So just make yourself a minority. Like many people are choosing to do so, aren't they? For all kinds of complex reasons, you'll get somebody who looks a lot like me, throw a wig on and demand to start bullying people and demand to be called, I don't know, Jane or something. You know, I think that comes from somewhere. But anyway, what I was meaning to talk about is television, actually. Now, as you all know who follow my channel, I'm a particularly big Star Wars fan and have been so for most of my life. In fact, probably all my life. And unlike most, I kind of enjoy the TV shows they make. As far as I'm concerned, it's good telly. It's not good Star Wars, but it's good telly. And good telly is, to me, as good as... It's better than cinema nowadays. Good telly. They can do things on telly now that they don't even dare to do at cinema, story-wise. It's like once upon a time they believed that you didn't need to be invading somebody's home with gratuitous sex and violence. You put that at the cinema. And so you don't bring it home. You're not piping it into people's houses. You're protecting the kids, etc. And then, you know, all that died, things changed, and then suddenly it's, hey, you know, we can show things on television now that if we showed in the cinema, the viewing public could probably riot and smash the town. You are? Yeah. It's like you couldn't do a cinematic screening of Andor. By the end of it, the audience would all become far right and set about setting the place on fire. So it's like they've learned they can do a lot more with television, and certainly streaming. They can do whatever they want, can't they? So they can make some real, like let's say, mature content stuff comes about now. You can watch some fucked up shit if you want on television, and this is not in the movies. This is television. This is a long form television. You'll see some fucked up shit. So I've watched, I think, every Star Wars series apart from the ones that are designed for kids. So I've seen, they say that Rebels is a kids program, but it's not. It's just a Star Wars program. It's just a Star Wars animated series. It's got mature content. But things like the Young Jedi Adventures, don't watch that. Things like Resistance about kids, don't watch that. But I've seen all the others. And watched them and more or less enjoyed them. They have up and down moments, and then they're always like duty bound to pander to the wokeness, which if you can ignore that, the wokeness thing is not such a big deal if you want the show to be successful, you see. So there's loads of ways you can work around the wokeness. By, yes, have trans and gay characters, but make them psychopaths like trans and gay characters tend to be. Make them the bad guys. Yeah, you want representation? Let's make a show called, what's it called on Prime? Those of Us About to Die. Have a load of gay shit in it, make the have like openly gay nastiness in the show, but make him the bad guy. Make it so the sort of boy sodomizing monster is the bad guy, and it works. It's like, okay, there's the box ticked. There's the box ticked nicely. Right, no one's going to complain so much about this all being gay and woke. Why? Because we made the gay guy evil. And fine, tick the box. So they can do it. You'll find elements of woke because it's a matter of it's like it depends on the laws in the place that you're filming as to how woke it is. So if you want to make something unwoke, go and make it in Morocco. Because they're not going to have somebody from the government coming along saying, no, you've got to represent all these groups. If you want to make a film in California, it has to be gay and woke. Because of the laws in California, to get the tax credits, to get the tax breaks, to make your movie at a discounted price, you have to obey the local woke statute or they don't let you make it. So go and make your movie in Romania or Morocco or something and they don't give a shit about things like that. So you can just make whatever you want. But it has a lot to do with government interference and who gets tax credits for the production. And now that Canada, which was once upon a time a place you could make movie and television without these strictures of wokeness, well, that's now been taken, hasn't it? Because it's Trudeau's kingdom now. So they've now got all these things in place as to where there's got to be men kissing in this show. They mandate that or you don't get your tax credits. Government plays a massive role in television production. So you've got it where these Star Wars shows are made in California, unless it's Andor, which was made mostly in Britain. So then it has British laws about what you can, you can't do. You know, in Britain we've got severe endemic problems with child abuse, child sexual exploitation. But in Game of Thrones, they had to cast adults as children in the main character, as the main characters, because you can't even depict in a drama that a child is used for sex. You can't even depict it in a drama. It's against the law. You can get done for making snuff, porno. You can get done for making child porn in the UK if you were to have a character who's 14 having sex in a TV show. Seriously, you get done for it. It's against the law. That's why Game of Thrones had to, that was a market thing. They had to cast adults as children because of the paedophilia laws in Great Britain. A place where the sexual abuse of children and sexualised children are absolutely endemic. That's how bad it is. That's how they can't face reality, so it's like, you have to be creative, don't you, nowadays? But throw it all out of the window for that Acolyte. Now, Acolyte is the only Star Wars television show that I've only watched one episode of and never gone back to and never thought about. The only one. I watched them all. I watched Ahsoka. I watched the Book of Boba Fett. Decent telly, not good. Decent telly though. Entertaining. Entertainment, not great. Entertaining. Andor was great. Andor is like a rebel creation. It's like there's a rebellion within Disney that created something to say, right, let's fucking wind these bastards up. Let's do something that the fans like, and it'll fuck with Disney. It'll make them change. So it's like, in some ways, it's like they set about creating something woke, right, and failed. And instead it was just revolutionary. So like, okay, well, like a happy mistake like that. I think if the higher ups at Disney knew what you were doing, they'd have cancelled the show. They'd have stopped you making that, because it's a matter of how much of the fan rebellion against something like the Acolyte based on things that the fandom have learned from watching Andor. There's a rebellion. There's a rebellion within the Star Wars fandom. And Andor was made for the rebellion. It's a rebellion product. Not just within the story, within the system, it's a rebel product. But the Acolyte, now this is a thing that's bugged me about this Acolyte thing, because I've not been watching it. I knew where it was going from the first episode. I'm like, this is boring, sanctimonious shit. I don't like being spoken down to by my betters. I just don't like it. It's condescending. So to me, it's like, okay, this is condescending. You're gonna make it so that you're gonna change what the Force is. To my mind, the Star Wars, those people in Star Wars, the Headlands and the like, they want to make it so that Star Wars is the Force is a kind of mental illness, like autism. Well, these kids had autism, and that's the secret of the Force. It's like, no, it's not. You just have to make it about yourselves. You just have to make it about perversion. You just have to make it about ridiculous notions of identity and things. You're going to do that, and you're going to portray hetero, what would you call it, queerness and mental illness as superpowers, and you're going to equate them to the Force, aren't you? It's like, well, yeah, of course they are. So it's like, nah, I'm not watching this. But what I'd like to point to is that there's a big co-op going on about it where the media, the lefty media, are saying this is the end of Star Wars, they've cancelled this, and they're blaming the fans for not watching it for being the reason it got cancelled. And I'm like, okay, what about Disney? Disney cancelled you. There's plenty of shit shows that have been given a second series. Yours didn't know. Who cancelled you? Fans have boycotted things like Star Trek Discovery, which is awful. Awful television show, which is all about white man, inept and cruel and stupid. Black woman, amazing. That's what that show is. When they had Debbie Abrams on as the Queen of Space, it's like, this is political. This is not Star Trek. This is woke, left-wing political of today, and your characters are all Mary Sues. They're all perfect. They're all written to be infallible, perfect. It's like hard done by, but perfect. Oppressed, but perfect. Like, fuck no. They've destroyed that, but there's 5 seasons of it. The 5 seasons of it when they lost the Star Trek fan base in the first season. I never have watched a Star Trek television show and since they used the F word in series 1 of Star Trek. And I use the F word a lot myself, but I don't like it. I don't think there's any need for Star Trek to use the F word ever. It's like, this is a children's television show. It's like we try to set some kind of example. This is family viewing. You don't say, that's fucking cool. Yeah, it is fucking cool. And then brag about it, talking about how progressive you are, that you use the first ever F word, and celebrating this as a kind of progress. That's the end to me. So like, is that what you're doing here? Is that what this is about? So I haven't watched a single Star Trek product since that. And I ate it. I just don't, it's dead to me. All of it. But it's like this one. But to say they carried on for 5 seasons. They did 5 seasons of Star Trek Discovery. We're on season 5. The amazing season 5. Adverts everywhere for it. It's like, if you think I'm going to watch that, you got another thing coming. And I like Star Trek. I'm a fan. But I'll never watch that. Well, see, the Acolyte. Not going to talk about the show. Just going to talk about the reaction to it. Because I haven't seen the show. I decided, no, I ain't being talked down to like a fucking gay moron. Every week. For 8 weeks. Forget it. I'm not watching it. But Disney cancelled them, didn't they? Has any of this media that have been all people on the internet and the gay media complaining about it being cancelled, have any of them blamed Disney for cancelling it? No. They've gone straight at their imagined enemies saying, this is the most toxic fandom. And it's like, you mean people don't like your shit and they choose not to watch it? No, they have to be villainised and demonised as somehow backward, far-right, Nazis for not enjoying your show. It's like they haven't got any power over the decisions that Disney make, those fans. If Disney cancel your show, like I said, there's plenty of shows that haven't got any fucking viewers that keep going for years. Plenty of them. But no, they won't bite the hand that feeds. That's just absolutely spot on the mindset of the LGBTQP+. That is what they are. They won't bite the hand that feeds. So they won't complain to the government. They will complain to the public about the public who didn't buy the shit. They'll blame us, not the people who made the decision. Because they don't seem to have a problem with authority, which is why, you know, that large group of narcissists are essentially bred. They're completely predictable and will always go after their imagined enemies as opposed to their real ones, so they will never rise up against the government. The LGBTQP+ people will never rise up against the government in any meaningful way, shape or form, because at the end of the day, they love their daddy, don't they?